A brief overview of the county's role in housing and homelessness. I just want to make it very clear, we are not the only ones working in this sector. This is a very large sector. There are a lot of community partners. We are only a fraction of that. We often, do a lot of the funding side of things, and we have a lot of the stuff that's, direct delivery at the county level, but we very much rely on our community partners. So maybe just to give a little bit of an overview, I'll pass it over to Cole for some more of the development stuff, but I'll maybe just give, the boring policy background in terms of what the county's following sorry, I have some counselors in the room. I'm sorry, this stuff done for me too, so they get to see it every council meeting. So the Housing for All plan is the county's guiding document, and really that's the document that's been approved by county council to give staff the direction to, work in the housing and homelessness space. So that Housing for All plan is a 10-year plan. It goes to council every 5 years for review, and we actually just adopted a new version of that last year. So while many of the items on, these 5 action items kind of go year over year, because we obviously are not solving housing and homelessness issues, these are kind of the 5 top, with one of them obviously being increased affordable and rental options, which is kind of part of the discussion today. So under that Housing for All plan, we also have the Master Housing Strategy. That Master Housing Strategy basically guides all of the development, and essentially what that does is County Council said, okay, staff, you go buy land and you go make that, shovel ready for development. And they gave us, obviously we come forward with any property purchases, but that basically gives us the go ahead to say, this is the need, we have to buy this parcel of land, and this is how many units we see could be, on this property. We don't directly build affordable housing projects. We really rely on our partners, nonprofits, community developers, to work with us on that. So just to make that clear in terms of what our partnerships are. The second piece to that is the homelessness response strategy. This was actually recently adopted in 2025, and there's 49 actions in this plan for essentially, us as a collective, partners and all, to work towards maybe addressing, some service gaps, how can we improve the system, and what's working well. Because I think it's also important to note, this is a very complex issue. This isn't just 49 actions for us to solve homelessness. This is evolving every single year, and those are just some guiding actions for us to move forward, in a proactive way. So this is our beautiful placemat that I wish I had copies for everybody. So essentially what this is, and I think this group might be familiar, what we say in housing and homelessness is that there's a housing for all, or a housing continuum. Along that continuum, obviously, and for lack of a better word, it's basically the graduation of housing as you get down into ownership. So on this far left, which I know is impossible for everybody to see, but on the far left, we're looking at, emergency shelters. Moving along, we're getting into transitional housing, supportive housing, community housing. The community housing, what we refer to as rent geared to income. And just for a little bit of context, we have about 1,200 units of rent geared to income across the entire county. About 650 of those units are owned by the county, and then the other are owned by nonprofits. And all of those tenants are pulled from a centralized wait list that the county actually manages ourselves. Then we move into affordable housing. So those are the projects that Cole is going to get into in a following slide. And those are the projects that it's not deeply affordable. I'll say just for a little bit of reference, it's almost that missing middle housing. So we're looking at about $1,000 a month for a 1-bedroom unit, just to give a little bit of context. So that's that housing that we partner with developers to provide. So essentially the county, as a bit of an example, we might go out and purchase land and provide that as an incentive to a developer to provide us some units. And then you're moving into obviously your market rental, affordable home ownership, which we also have a program under, and your market home ownership. So essentially the goal for housing and homelessness is for an individual to be able to move across this continuum, with obviously the goal to be into market ownership. That's the ultimate goal. Whether that is a reality for some of our folks is a different story, but that's why we have support services along the way. And I'll pass it over to Cole.
Thanks so much. Hopefully you guys can hear me too. Maybe not. Is that good? Perfect. I really have to hold it against your chin.
Yeah, you do.
That's loud, sorry. As Rebecca mentioned, it's not us directly doing all the work. It's our community providers and partners. So for this build at 785 South Woodway, Woodstock, it's one of our newer affordable and market rental builds with Woodstock Nonprofit. Within the last 5 years, this is the second building that Woodstock Nonprofit has constructed within Woodstock. For this site so far, I believe all affordable units are occupied with only a few market left over. It was completed in early 2026 with planning and everything starting in 2022. So this building provides 52 units for seniors, single women, and women with children, with 37 of those being affordable units. The county contributed 1.4 million in land value, and land value of 1.5 million. So this area where this location is just south of the Woodingford Woodstock. So we were able to divide this land off and zone it properly to kind of expedite the build time for this one. An additional funding from CMHC and being able to save on county and city development charges really made the building affordable and provide as many affordable units as we can stuff in there. For this site, it's a partnership with Ingamo and DASO. So there are select units within the building that are specifically for people within the programs at these two organizations. Currently, we have in the works 3 different projects. The first being 175 Springbank Woodstock. You may have heard some news about this from the county or within the province. So this site is located in Woodstock beside, or it is the Bethany Lutheran Church. So we'll be adding on to that church, keeping the worship space and putting on, sorry, I got the number right here, how many units? 45 units, with 23 being affordable. We're set to break ground this week and expected occupancy, I think, in 2028. I think that's reasonable. And currently, we have 31 Earl Street, Tillsonburg, which is on the other side of town, which is currently went through the RFP process, which we are still reviewing. This project has up to 47 affordable ownership units, with 50% being affordable purchase prices. So this site is a bit different from us. Usually with our typical housing model is rentals. This one is the affordable ownership model. The ownership price is about $425,000 per unit, with the rest being market value. Yeah. And finally, we have on the go right now, it's 381 and 387 Dundas Street, Woodstock. This is downtown Woodstock, where the old Capitol Theater used to be. We currently have this one out right now for an RFP status, looking for developers, partners to help us develop with it. This includes a 6-story building with 35 units total and 27 being affordable. It's unique for this site. We were able to get parking on the ground level and 2nd story, which really helped keep the development costs down and kind of be able to provide more affordable units. It's usually 3 to 4 times more per parking space to go underground, so being able to keep it above ground really helped us keep the budget-friendly parking situation and create as many units as possible in this space.
Thank you, Paul. And maybe I will address this one as it kind of goes with the slide. Introduce me again. Better? Mm-hmm. Maybe I just should have touched the cords in here. There we go.
Okay, there we go.
Okay, sorry.
It doesn't like you, Rebecca.
It really doesn't. I don't know. It's okay. Maybe on this slide, I just want to take a minute because I think there's been some news, buzzing around too about the county purchasing the old YMCA building, and I think it's important to note that we certainly did. We received county council direction back in. Keep this in me. See, this is the important piece
Just you keep it on the stand.
Yeah.
Put it on the stand, maybe.
You're outside.
I know, it just feels unnatural with it keep going out. Can everybody hear me like this?
No.
No. Maybe you can put it on the stand. Keep it steady on the stand.
Steady on the stand?
Yeah, so you won't be moving the wire.
You did a good job.
What did I?
Yeah.
It worked for me, but I don't know. Yeah.
Yeah, I think there's a wire there.
You have to get so close to it.
How is this?
Yes, that works.
Don't
now I
touch
feel like
it.
I'm like open mic night or something like that. Okay, back to my what I was saying. So yes, the county has purchased the YMCA building in Woodstock. Our goal there is to have a homelessness support center. I will say just a little bit of background. I don't want to kind of spend the whole time speaking about this. This has been ongoing for quite some time. I would say even back to 2023. There's been some properties considered. So it has taken quite some time to come to a purchase of a building. And that was actually approved more formally through the homelessness response strategy. So you will see some developments through that. There actually was a formal news release today with some more details in terms of, what the plans are for that building. So we aren't expecting that building to be operating until probably spring of 2028. And the goal of that center is to bring our existing emergency shelter locations into one consolidated location. Right now, we have 3 locations in Woodstock. We also have a temporary location in the town of Tillsonburg over the winter months. So it is a little bit complicated in terms of the 3 separate locations in Woodstock. So essentially, this center will bring all of those locations together, so individuals are able to stay there for longer than an 8 to 12 hour period. In addition, we are planning to have our community partners in that space, very similar to the day space that's currently operated by Operation Sharing. So it is really consolidating all of those services into one. So I didn't have it on the slides because this was prepared before the formal announcement came out, but I did want to address it based on this slide going forward because I think it is a very, it's been out there in the news, and I think it's just something that we're really looking forward to, and it's been something that's been identified by community partners for quite some time as a gap. So we are looking forward to bringing that forward. So you'll see some updates on the Speak-Up-Oxford page. The news release did go out, so if you're looking for further information, you can follow the county website on that. And of course, send in a question through. It's often, ourselves answering it, so very happy to have conversations with anybody about that. So just touching on that, because I think it also goes into the Heart Hub conversation, and just a little bit of background on that. I won't spend too much time, but I think it's also important to kind of give a bit of detail on the Heart Hub too, because there hasn't been, the fulsome details out yet, because right now it's in a bit of a temporary state in the city of Woodstock. So Oxford OHT and the Woodstock Hospital submitted an application for a mental health and treatment addictions facility in the city of Woodstock, and they were actually granted approval for that. So what that encompasses is basically a treatment facility which will be located in the city of Woodstock in the old Hydro building. And it also what is referred to as the Heart Hub, which I know is kind of the phrase that's going around. Just a bit of clarity, and I try to do this wherever I'm speaking, is the Heart Hub is actually the system of partners that already exists. So that Heart Hub is everybody who's working in the system currently. It's just bringing those Heart Hub partners together and trying to provide those services a little bit more centrally. So the Heart Hub is the existing system, and then Graham Street will be the mental health and addictions facility, which will be operated by the Woodstock Hospital. So the ultimate goal with the county's homelessness response center is to feed into that system and to really close that gap. I think it's always important to note that we cannot force anybody to seek treatment or to access shelter services or supports. People have to be willing to do that, and you have to have an appropriate space for people to want to seek that out. So just a little bit of clarity there. And right now, the Heart Hub is actually, the Wellness Center is currently operating out of a temporary location in the city of Woodstock on Huron Street. So they are accepting people who would like to seek that treatment for mental health and addictions. Of course, it has to be your own self-referral into that system. So that's a very big, I don't like saying a very big win, but it essentially is. That was a very large gap in the county, so that essentially is on its way to being filled, along with obviously the county's homelessness Homelessness Support Center. I'm going to have to come up with a shorter name for that. Homelessness Support Center, which will also work in tandem with that heart hub. The other piece to this is coordinated access. And just very briefly, because I know Louise touched on the 180 number, that 180 number aside 1 month that they do not want assistance, they don't want to be on that by name list, so they're not accounted for that month. So while we say 180 based on last month, it is greater than that, unfortunately. So those are all the individuals that, if they are active on the by name list, they're attached to coordinated access. And coordinated access is essentially a group of all the community partners who come together to offer supports to those individuals on the by name list. So if really our goal as community partners is to ensure that people, get placed on that by name list, so at least we have, as accurate as possible gauge of those that are seeking support, so we can plan accordingly. So essentially that system is, there's no wrong door approach. We accept everybody onto the by name list. We want to offer you supports, and that's why that hub is so important for us to work on that homelessness support center. So all those individuals who are part of coordinated access can essentially be in that central location. Obviously, we still have to meet individuals where they are. We're not going to be able to get everybody to seek supports from a centralized center, but we are looking to at least coordinate the support services out in the community as much as possible. I'll pass it over to Cole.
Thank you again. That's much better. I just wanted to highlight some more of the county housing supports that we offer. Some of the programs which are open to everyone in the county, some you have to be more qualified for. The rent supplements and Canada Ontario Housing Benefit. So this is funding we receive every year for RGI and rent supplements. The kind of target that gets given to us, I guess this year was 35. From the province. What we stipulate though, our goal actually from the Housing for All plan is 40. So we're looking to go well above the 35 individuals. So these are individuals that can be referred to the county, our office, goes through the application process and review process with them, and we can reach out to landlords and find them a place to live, and then we can supplement some of their rent. And we pay the landlord directly, so it's kind of the tenant's kind of taken care of. They don't have to handle anything, and they have a place to live. And new for this year, highlighted in the Housing for All plan, is an eviction prevention pilot program. So this program is only with inside the county housing portfolio. The goal of this program is to help and give people support within our own portfolio. So folks who might be at risk of eviction through outstanding arrears, through cleanliness, visitor issues, hoarding. These are the folks that we don't want to lose, but may need some more supports in the community. So we look at each person within the program on an individual basis, help create an individual action plan for them, and kind of do a whole surround approach with all the community providers at our disposal. Some of the county housing programs, these are the ones that are for the public and kind of anyone can apply for. And these kind of were generated to help people on the continuum. So that's the continuum that we showed at the beginning of our presentation. We're really trying to bolster and kind of aid folks along that continuum. We want to see people start at one area and work their way up, or maintain one area as being comfortable as possible. The My Second Unit program, this program is available to anyone who owns their home. You can put a second unit somewhere in the home, in the basement, on auxiliary building on the property. We'll give you financial assistance as a forgivable loan to have someone rent out your space. The residential repair program, this is available for homeowners to get $5,000 for home repairs. Being qualified for it helps folks stay in their home, age in their home longer. A lot of people we have applying for this program, they're looking to get accessibility features put in their home so they can stay in their home longer. It's usually ramps, bathrooms, kind of the main barriers that we see people facing. And the home ownership program. This is a program to help with down payment assistance. for an affordable home. So we follow prices that are given to us every year. We update that as the market gets updated. We'll give you up to 5% assistance for a down payment. I think the last couple of years have been quiet. I think the market has a big issue with that. But this year already, last Friday, I had 2 people close on homes, so it's good to see that there's housing stock out there at an affordable level. And that's it for us.
Maybe just one note, because I don't think we fully captured the rent supplement. So there's COB, which is basically kind of a portable rent supplement, which is provided by the province. And actually the county funds separately over 200 rent supplements across the county. So I think that's kind of a different picture in terms of, not a big capital expenditure, but we are supporting a lot of people, stay in their rental units, just through kind of some different ways. But I think that's it. If you want to show up for questions.